Welcome to the Mitt TV podcast, House Factors, where we delve into all things related to the ever-changing world of real estate. I am your host, Michelle Milam, a seasoned professional with over a decade of experience in marketing, design, and sales. As a top 100 realtor in Macomb County, Michigan, I have a track record of excellence, having earned multiple awards in sales, marketing, and customer satisfaction. Our mission here at House Factor is to provide you, our listeners, with real-world insight and practical tips for managing your most valuable asset, your home. Whether you're a current homeowner or aspire to be one in the future, this podcast is for you. We'll cover a range of engaging topics from industry trends to day-to-day challenges to help you navigate the complex world of homeownership. So stay tuned and join the conversation as we explore all things that go into owning a home. So this is our first podcast, and I wanted to make sure that I hit it out of the park, so I brought personality to the forefront here. I have my two favorite business colleagues, where I have Maria Laby here from Independent Bank. She's a vice president of mortgages at Independent Bank. Hello, Maria.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. And then I have Anthony Nardoni. He is a major league builder with Calico Construction. You may know his last name from Nardoni Homes, but Anthony has since branched out and gotten his own division going. Welcome, Anthony.
Thank you so much, Michelle.
So the reason I chose this as being our first podcast of a real estate show is because I figure all things start with the bank. If you don't have money, you don't have a home. Well, unless you're one of those very blessed people that have all cash. Anyways, but Maria and I have been very fortunate and forged a relationship with Anthony, and I'll explain how this has been going down. Well, actually, probably should let Maria explain that, because anything that has to do with money, I'm out. But Maria is the money behind it, and we've been successfully working a program, and it's called Like It, Don't Love It. And Maria will tell you how the bank plays a part in getting homeowners their very favorite home, and how Anthony comes in and seals the deal. And we all play a role. And we're going to kind of go over those factors today, because with this limited market right now, you sometimes have to make your own inventory. I think you both agree with that.
Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, Anthony will say, hey, you find me a house and I'll make it the home you want it to be. And then Maria came about and said, find me the person with good credit and something that appraises, and I'll get you the money. So Maria, can you tell us a little bit more about your program?
Sure. I think right now, as people are looking in the pre-existing market, they're waiting for the long-awaited home, whether it's a Gen X or millennial that's been living at home past college, or a couple that's, not wanting to get out of their starter home and go to their long-awaited next home. Everybody has a different journey, but you're either buying a new build, or if you think about it, you're buying a pre-existing home. And that pre-existing home isn't going to be perfect, even though you want it perfect. You want so many things about it, but you have to remember, home may have been built in 39, 76, 92, 2015. And you find this home and you may not like the architectural integrity about it, or it's a perfect school system, but you go in and the hardwood floors may be really rough. The kitchen may be outdated. It may be just a matter of yellow tile that your partner's just not talented with, and you just don't want to get involved with all these tisky-tasky things. And everybody may say that's really not that much money, but you don't have the talent. You're not that person to do it. Or the person that can do it could underestimate how much fixing that house up is and using credit cards and cash, and they're using the money that they want for their home. So after being in banking and hearing this conversation that just kept repeating itself, it's like, basically, you like the house. It's the perfect house for 3, 4, 5 reasons: school system, price, community, but you don't love it for these reasons of the tile, the kitchen, the flooring. I'm handy, but not that handy. I don't know how much that would cost. So came up with Like It, But Don't Love It, because you like the house, but you don't love it. And how could we present a vehicle to love the house? How can I get you those funds? And Michelle, you might want to know, you don't have to have perfect credit, average credit.
Excellent.
And with that, when you getting pre-approved is such a vehicle to know your buying power first and foremost, really getting in and understanding the dynamics of that pre-approval, and not just getting internet information or cursory information, because then, we can go on the concept. You could certainly buy this much, but by the way, if you need additional items done on the house, that's available to you.
Okay, so then how does this work? And I know that I've kind of familiar, but pretend I know nothing. How does this work as far as so they come to you and they found the house. How do you decide how much money? Like how does the person know how much money they need and what they can do to get that money?
Okay. There's a couple steps to it, and I'm going to simplify it as much as I can. Let's say you were approved to buy a 250 house, and whether you're a 500K buyer, a 750K buyer, or a 250 buyer, or a 100K buyer, there's no limit on demographics of what you can do. But if I was getting you approved and you thought you'd be buying a $250,000 house, I'll work closely with someone to say, no house is 250. And what if, I mean, there might be a house for 250, but what's your range? You really want to stick around 250, but I'll look if there's room to go higher, and what do you want your house payment to be? And making a little bit personal. But now you've arrived and you've found this house maybe for 245 or 255 or whatever the price is, and you do like it, but you don't love it. So we got to quickly identify, is it tile and flooring? Is it something much bigger than that, whatever it may be? I think I go to you as a pro to say, if they were to add those items, if they were adding 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, would the house appraise? Mm-hmm. One misconception is parents may say, oh, well, you can get an equity loan. You can't get an equity loan because once you buy a house, it's kind of established, you bought it for this price, this is what it appraised for, and that's present value. With the like it but don't love it, we could say, okay, Michelle, if they did the kitchen or if they just did the tile or they just did the flooring or what the dynamics are that they want to do, would the house appraise if we appraised it as is completed? And sometimes where the value is. If somebody's putting in a lap pool and a generator or siding, I don't know if that's going to give it the oomph that a new kitchen, flooring, and some other dynamics are. But that's something that your expertise is great because you huddle with. And then is there an opportunity to get the builder out there during the home inspection or to have a conversation? Sometimes it could be as simple as looking at the property, the MLS dynamics, and if the person thinks the improvement could be done for $20,000 and it's a 100K improvement, then Anthony, how many times there's a misconception, or they're thinking it's going to be a whole lot of money and it could be a lot less, right?
Yeah.
The key is to get that information either before the home inspection or during the home inspection. And there's some sensitivity too that builders are busy. And if you want a builder to run out and talk to you when you're putting in an offer and that offer isn't accepted, I mean, there's a limit to what they can do, even though the sincerity and having a quality person is there. But it is that quality person that you want that is busy. And maybe they can give you a sense of idea. And then if you get under contract, having them come over during the home inspection.
And I can say Anthony has been very, very good at we have that 7-day inspection period. I think I get Anthony in there the very first night. I know I've thrown a lot on you as far as like, give me a value, give me a value. What goes into that when you get in there and you see those houses? Are you ready to rip your hair out at that point? Or are you cool?
Every single one's different. Some of them is pretty aesthetics, and I really like that because it's like, look, there's potentially a lot of unrealized value that the buyer could be walking into because it's just aesthetics. And then you've got other ones where you have a lot of structural things, you've got bigger floor plan issues, which, I mean, no matter what you do aesthetically, the house is still going to be the house. So sometimes those are a little bit more stressful, but I mean, overall, it's a pretty fast-paced program and process, and I think it's great because it helps really compact the entire timeline, but still gets the buyer where they want to go, and it potentially is more projects for us, and it's a great way to close, I guess more.
Well, you're trying to say you're going to close more deals for me.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds great. I mean, it's definitely a partnership the three of us have together.
Yeah.
Well, they're not using for someone to think, well, I'm going to have my dad do this. I'm going to have my husband's brother do that. I'm going to try to save this. I'm using my credit card. I'm using savings. It becomes long and it becomes a little bit hodgepodge. And I'm not making a value judgment because there are some talented people but they've not been in my family. And I always tell the story. I remember my first starter home. I really wanted a specific chandelier. It was real not, and it wasn't even a chandelier. It was a light fixture. It was really expensive. And then you overthink it and you think it and you want to do responsibly the right thing. So I ended up buying a nice one that was average from Home Depot. But every time I came in the house, I saw that light. And in time, it really just bothered me. And it depreciated my joy for the house. So then when I went ahead and bought the right light fixture, now I'm spending more again than what I had to have. And having that personal experience, I find that with buyers, that if they just used you to, as a professional, just to come in, get the job done, even if it's a $50,000 job, that they start out with 25 or 30 just to get it off the ground, to give their house that, I don't want to say lipstick on the pig, but that pop. They're going to have more joy. It doesn't make that much difference in their payment, and now they're just loving their home.
Yeah.
And you can do it in 2 parts even.
Let's talk about the Ellen house in Beverly Hills. I think that was our biggest success story, and I'd love to tell the public about it. Anthony, you took on an amazing project there. Do you want to tell everybody as far as what you walked into and what you left them with?
Yeah, so that was one of those where the house had really great bones, I believe, and from walking it just one time during the inspection, we saw that there was a really good way to try and re-optimize, bathroom space and all that sort of stuff. So that's what we ended up doing for them. I mean, we took it out. We took what they had going on. We blew out an entire bathroom, reorganized the primary suite, and it really helped with the flow of that side of the house. On top of that, we did the kitchen and other, the main area of the house, also helping just the actual flow of the main area and the enjoyment in that space that you spend so much time. And that project turned out really great. I mean, along the way, we ran into a lot of things, which is pretty common with renovations, but it was all stuff we had kind of planned for, knowing up front that, hey, this is an older home. We're going to have to come in and do a certain amount of work and have a certain amount of things that are going to come up, and that's just what we worked on throughout the build there.
And I think you're being so kind to yourself, and you're not a boaster type ego person, because what you did was absolutely amazing. I mean, let's talk about the fact that you took a small bedroom closet, turned it into part of the bathroom for the master suite, or excuse me, the primary suite. You borrowed space from an oversized main bath and gave these people an extra bathroom. I mean, that's amazing. Who can do that and not change the footprint of the home?
Yeah.
What you did is award winning, if you ask me. I mean, that house, like you said, had great bones. I was fortunate enough. I found that house. I try to find people houses that are in trust accounts. Those are the best, because that whenever you see original owner, it's like, yes, that's the house. Impeccably taken care of, might not be updated, and that's what we found. That was a beautiful home, and those ladies didn't even know they were moving. They had a nice house in Royal Oak, and I had a buyer in Royal Oak that needed a house, called them up and said, hey, what about move in? They said, sure, but you got to find us a house. And lo and behold, we did. And I think, Maria, you might have even had to do some finagling with making sure they could afford 2 houses at once. And
I think
loan.
Yeah, I think you're both being humble. Think about it. Right now in this market, everybody wants to close in 11, 15, 20 days, 30 days. You're competing with cash offers. And, I know I can certainly close quick, 9, 11 days. But the key thing is, in a quality way, ordering the appraisal, wanting streamlined service, wanting quality, as if it was a longer process. But, you want to beat out these offers. But at the same time, you really may want to have this product. So you really want to be focused. Find the right realtor. Michelle, I know people interview you and make different, come up with different value ideas on why they love you. They like you and they end up loving you every time. But, you want to partner with the right realtor. You want to be aligned with your bank, that they're offering you the products and the sincerity. Identify what's important to you. And what you both did so amazing was, here was how quick can you close? So we responded under 30 days. we could close sooner, a little smoke, because we could, but we really wanted to have this product in mind because the house was very average. And when you said older, every house is old. That's what I'm getting at. You either have new construction or they're all older houses because people have lived in them before. So what's so great is that you were able to get out there during the home inspection quickly.
Thank you.
And then identify quickly what the range of costs was. And if someone's doing a lot more, Michelle, for this product, I mean, you have to be willing to make some trade-offs. Like, you don't know if you want Corian or granite or this type of counter. Just come up with something because we could talk about how to trade off after the project gets going, but you need a basis of what's being done to the house. And then when the inspection passed and you gave them a contract, what I'm doing is I'm taking that purchase contract, I'm taking the drawing or the contract that you presented the buyers, and then we're giving that to the appraiser for him to assess an as-is completed value. And what's so nice is we are putting the down payment off of that revised, what we'll call an acquisition cost. So if you had when we were giving the 250 example before, if you had a 250 home and you had a $50,000 improvement, it would be $300,000 that you could put 5% down, as little as 5% down.
Anthony, where do you think is the best place somebody can spend their money for the most return, let's say for resale?
I mean, definitely bathrooms. And if you walk into one of these houses and you just see these tiles from like the 60s, right? Everyone's going to walk in and then say, well, clearly this room has to go entirely. So if you can put money into the bathroom, that's going to help you on the back end. The kitchen as well. Nowadays there's a lot of cabinet options that you can go with that don't have to be these super luxurious, super duper custom cabinets, and they still bring a lot of value and they update the entire kitchen. They have all the features that nice cabinets have nowadays, all soft close, stuff like that. People are looking for those things. That's another good spot to do it. Rather than refacing or repainting your cabinets. Again, floors, finishes like that, maybe trim work. That's another thing that can really elevate a space. So those are some of the things I really point at where people want to say, hey, how do we make this space look like it's next level compared to where it's at now? And how do we keep, budget in mind and that sort of thing?
And on a grander scale, if it's not as little as $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, if you want to take a home and put an addition on the top, do an extension, do quite an expensive improvement. They've been done in Birmingham with a $750 purchase, with a $200,000 renovation or $300,000 renovation. It can be as little as something $10,000, $20,000, $50,000, but you wanna definitely have the opportunity to have the house walk-in ready and having it the way you want within the first 6 months of owning the home versus possibly having it spread out and then getting nickel and dimed along the way.
Yeah.
What are you seeing as far as trends? Like, for example, the houses I showed this weekend had a lot of luxury vinyl tile. Is that something that's going to be replacing wood, or what do you think about that?
I don't know if it's going to replace wood, right? I think it depends on what tier of project you want to have on your finish level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to, again, spend more money on the cabinets, you could totally go with a vinyl product. It's still a quality product. It lasts a long time. It's durable. And then you can allocate some of that money somewhere else on your project. Something like a hardwood or something that's more actual natural products, those really still kind of reign supreme.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, on those higher tier of projects, people still want to have those types of finishes. They'll probably do something like a luxury vinyl, maybe in the basement or something like that, a finished basement. We do that pretty often. But I think it kind of just depends. It's plug and play. It's not all, like one size fits all. And those products they're really good products. They're super durable. They last a long time. And they're great for, like I said, being able to take your budget and kind of massage it to make sense for each project.
That makes sense now. Now, I know you probably have your vendors that you like or your cabinet store you like. What if we get a person that just is really like, hey, I like the Martha Stewart cabinet line. Are you willing to do something like that? Are you willing to go with maybe their other choice materials or other vendors to bring into your fold? Or how does that work?
We're open to it, right? I mean, we're always looking for new trade partners or new suppliers that we haven't previously worked with. If they do a good job and they deliver a quality product, there's we're open to working with other people. I always kind of give them a caution that, hey, maybe this person's not gonna, or this supplier is not going to what's the word? Maybe the supplier is not going to prioritize us like a supplier that I use all the time.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Because I'm giving them consistent business. We have a long-term relationship, business relationship. So they might not prioritize us to the same level. But again, if they give a quality product and we're willing to have a good conversation with them, we're open to it, and it could end up being a good, again, future relationship between us and them. And it could end up helping the client, get exactly what they want or have the exact experience they're looking for with that particular supplier.
And Michelle, amenities, right? So if it's a starter house, it's not going to be their long-term house. And by doing this, it's adding so much more value to the house, right? It's more value than what they anticipated. They have those items in. So if they were in the future to rent their current home out, they could get a good lease price. If they were to sell the house, they could get good return on investment. And there's something to be said if it's your second home on why you might want to do that, and even your final home.
So with that said, can anybody get these loans, Maria, and just use whoever they want? Or does the bank make sure these people are highly qualified to deliver a product? Because, so many times you hear about a contractor. I know I don't want to say anything negative about any contract, but you hear about these contractors that get the money and leave, especially somebody who's not used to doing this, because that's why they're hiring a person. What does the bank do to protect the money or the loan, or how does that work? How did Anthony become the one?
Well, that's really a great question. And I was just talking to Anthony before we started about this. We don't allow self-builds, and that's a whole conversation. Or if you say, my brother's brother, or we could get a good price from our neighbor, he's a contractor. We don't want to come across too strict, because if that contractor has truly a history of renovating homes legitimately and resources, they do have a builder's license. But if they don't have a builder's license, we're not supporting people that aren't builders. And that's not from a big bank perspective. It's from protecting you. A builder we actually check, we do a soft pull credit on every builder that we work with.
Nice.
We also, sometimes check with the Better Business Bureau. We're checking trades and vendors. If a builder has their credit cards maxed out and IRS tax liens, that might not be the builder. We'll say they're acceptable. You are approving the builder and who you want to pick. You're saying, I really want to work with this person. But if they don't have a history of having the liability coverage, the proper liability insurance, if they are not slow pay with vendors, they don't have a track record of working experience, we're not going to put that person on. They don't have to be perfect. Sometimes we work with some one-offs on exception that are extremely humble and quite qualified. But we really want to make sure that the person's a professional and that we can count on them. And you want to count, you want us to, I would think we have a client right now that we're actually the bad guy, so to speak, and he was relieved because we identified some detail with his particular builder he picked.
Mm-hmm. So Anthony and Maria both, how does the builder get paid? Do I pay him out of my pocket as the homeowner? How does this money happen? And what assurances are there that Anthony gets paid and that the work gets done?
That's a great question. I would tell you that with your permission, the consumer's permission, we typically give the builder a 10% draw of the contract. So if it was a $50,000 contract, we would give them 10% of that at closing to launch the job. A $100,000 contract, they'd get $10,000 to launch the job. And that's really to get the job off the ground, those supplies and him getting out there and really getting it going. If a consumer client said, I really only want them to have 5%, that could be done. And if they said, I really don't want the builder getting any money, that would be something you and the builder would have to agree upon. Sometimes it happens, most often it doesn't, but sometimes it happens because the builder's actually going to do the work. And what you would be excited about, and I can't say enough, is that the builder is getting paid based on the percentage of completion. So it's not I'm going to be doing this work and I need this money. It is a matter of do this work, do what's you're asking for. If you're asking for a $20,000 draw, is that work done, or 10,000 or 5,000? What percentage of completion is done? We go out to check real quick that we follow a matrix, making sure the work's done, people have been paid, and then we circle back to you as the customer to say, hey, we'd like to pay the builder this amount. We feel what he's asking for is reasonable. Is this acceptable? And with your permission, we'll wire the money to his account.
So, Anthony, you look like you're well dressed and got your pay. So, was it easy to collect your money from the bank, or did they pay you on time? And was it easy? Was it seamless, is what I'm asking you.
Yeah, it was definitely a seamless process. I mean, everything's got its steps, you know. Obviously, we'd go through the necessary paperwork we needed and showing that we've gotten our inspections and that sort of thing, and being in communication with the bank and the customer and making sure, we're all on the same page and letting them know, hey, we're going to be requesting our funds. And then it's just a matter of paperwork on that end. So, but it's a very, seamless process. Yeah.
And an important detail is the customer's paying during this renovation period interest only on the funds that are used. So they're not interest only on the funds that are used. That interest can be written off at taxes, but it's a moving process. So it's not set principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. Even if you have PMI, private mortgage insurance, because you put a low down payment, we're not collecting any of that during the renovation process. You are only paying on the funds that have been used to pay off the purchase at closing and the draws going to the builder along the way. A customer, if it was tax time, you would be paying the summer tax bill or the winter tax bill directly. But when the house is completely done, we'll work with you to modify the loan to principal, interest, taxes, insurance, if that may be the case. If you're still going to have PMI or not have PMI, we don't retro and go back since day one to charge you for PMI in the past, which is fabulous. If you'd like to pay down, you can, and on the loan. And then at that time, you'd modify over to principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
So there was something that I wanted to get straight here. So I'm going to be making these payments. Do I get the money right at closing, or do I go to my closing, or do I fix my house up first and then go to my closing? What's the order of events?
The order of the event is you are signing your purchase agreement. We're appraising the home. We're going through the loan process just like a regular purchase. There's no difference. At closing, we're going to pay off the sellers, and that's all taken care of just like a regular purchase. We're putting the renovation amount in a separate general ledger according to your account. You are not paying the builder anything. We are giving out the draws along the way to the builder that are measured and safe, within the percentage of completion of work being done and with your permission.
So, Anthony, this is a loaded question. I know you do new construction, which is great because you have that ability to see what the people want now, and you have the ability to make it happen for someone that maybe that can't get into new construction, or like Maria said, wants a certain school district or neighborhood. What's your favorite between the two?
They're both really interesting. New construction stuff is great because you've got a blank canvas. That's obvious. You got a blank canvas, you can make it look and feel exactly how you want to make it feel. The renovations or the like it but don't love it, there's some more parameters you got to work within. But I think, the turnaround time with those sorts of projects, obviously depending on the scope, it's a lot of times it's faster, and you're working a little bit more intimately with a client on those ends, and you're kind of turning something that you have to take something and you really have to take the potential and turn it into something great. So I think those are the benefits on that end. I kind of lean towards new construction, but I really like both products, and I think they're both a really great way to work with clients and fulfill different needs.
One of the things I'm just passionate about, and I think it should be said, is you have a customer that may be very, very particular with who they work with and what they do, but that's not the norm. Most is, I found this house on social media, and then they're clicking and just getting somebody average to work with because they think that was their only choice. Well, I saw their name next to that house, and well, now I'm in a rush, and I heard about this from my coworker. And oh, I thought if I wanted to improve the house, I had to do an FHA 203K. And it's just that knee-jerk misinformation. I think that you really want to align yourself with the team to say, if you're getting 2 or 3 names of good realtors, what made them great? What do you think? I applaud somebody that wants to interview me and find out if we're a fit. You don't want to waste people's time talking to 2, 3 people, reinventing your story, running all over the place, because it's almost like chasing 5 rabbits. When you feel that you've got good chemistry, connection, this person's experienced, like Michelle, like you listen to what the customer's looking for. I try to identify. I consistently will say, I want for you what you want for you. When people give their opinions, it's what they want for them and based on their experience. And you yourself, Anthony, and Michelle, we all are listening to say what's most important to you. And with what's most important to you, what product would fit you? Would it be, this product or that product? And what can we do making best use of your funds?
So I think one of my last questions on the topic of the loan and the nuances of it. So Anthony does this project, he kicks it way up. We've gotten into this house. What are the chances then of getting that PMI off? What can we get rid of that at some point because we've now added value, or am I crazy to think we could make that happen?
Well, sometimes people may say, what if my house gets done and then I love it so much I can make money off of it? Can I flip it?
Oh, yeah, call Michelle and we'll do more.
You can. I mean, there's no prepayment penalty on the loan. If it ends up that rates are higher, you're going to be so grateful to you, Michelle, that you got them off the ground and got this started, because they certainly don't want to refi in the near future because the rate they had was great. If rates are much, much lower, we'll see what can be adjusted so that they don't have to go through the cost of refinancing. The beauty of the program is it's one-time close, from start to finish. It's not 2 separate closings, and there's a great value there. And I'm excited about what you're saying. I guess I would say if rates were higher and now the house is worth more, we service our loans at Independent Bank, so we don't generally sell them as a rule of thumb. So if the house is reappraised, we can look at what the new appraised value is, what the loan amount is, and what could be done to remove the private mortgage insurance.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, Anthony, you are one of the only builders I know that is college educated, went to Wayne State University, has an awesome background, and you believe in a lot of the green stuff that we talk about. And Maria does have a green mortgage program, and that probably could be a whole nother show on green mortgages. But Anthony, tell me what makes, I know what makes you different as far as you're highly educated, you're customer focused, you know today's technology. Why should someone choose you as their builder or their rehab person?
Oh, thank you for all those compliments, Michelle. I appreciate it. So, I mean, I always think communication is really like the crux of a lot of the issues in this business, in my experience. So communicating with clients is, like, you can tell right up front if you're going to have a good, good communication throughout the entire relationship. I mean, it all starts like you can come up with a first impression in the first, few minutes of meeting or speaking with someone and seeing how their rapport is. So communication's huge, and that helps avoid any sorts of issues, helps you kind of traverse the entire path for the project, and helps just setting expectations. So that's a big one. Aside from that, I would say, seeing how reputable they are, seeing some of their past work, maybe looking at like a lookbook of sorts of things of actual projects they've completed, or going to actually visit some other project sites of current projects that are ongoing, and seeing, well, what is, how do they keep the project site? Is it clean to,
Yes.
relative for a construction site? It's clean.
That's a stickler of mine, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it clean? Is it well kept? How's the progress going? How's everything coming along? That's another big one. Outside of that, I would say, you always want to make sure, obviously, licensed and insured, like Maria was saying, totally licensed, totally insured. I mean, those are like no-brainers. If someone's doesn't have either of those, it's just you're really taking on risk. I mean, there's countless other things, but I think those 3 things are pretty foundational to finding a good builder contractor.
You wouldn't drive a car if it had a sporty outside and looked all shiny and it had a terrible engine and has no brakes. You're going to go right into the water, go right into the wall. And I think you're far too humble. I think the greatest strength about you is that you literally can drive a hammer or a tractor as well as put on dress clothes and price a job, honestly.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of builders that haven't picked up a hammer, haven't gotten on a tractor, and I joke about it like there's male obstetricians that have never given birth to a baby.
Maria.
Yeah, but it's true.
Yeah.
It's true. There's a lot of male builders that literally, male and female builders, but there's men out there that really haven't built a house in a long time, and they're just constantly pricing things out. The fact that sometimes, shortcuts or better shortcut, it sounds negative, but you find better ways to save the consumer money. And is there a better way of doing this? Because you actually do the work yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think with myself, my family was misinformed when I was a young kid. And I look back now being in banking and, having information and having options and being, working with people with integrity and then finding out the passion of working for you and having options available for you, not just, this is the path of least resistance. I'm working with someone right now trying to help their credit, and the pain of discipline is better than the agony of regret. Them just waiting 90 days will probably save them a good amount of money.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, I would throw it back to you. I see so many dynamics that you offer customers that I don't see other realtors offering. I mean, I've seen you run out like on a Sunday, drive to go meet them last minute. I don't want to say a Pop-Tart because you're so service oriented.
It's my honor. I love to do it. Just love it. So Maria, why independent bank? You've been there a minute. With your background, with your track record as a leader in mortgages, I mean, everybody knows your name. Half my deals get the rubber stamp of yes because of your name. Why do you choose to work for independent bank?
I like the fact that we have processing here in Michigan. There's local people. I have local underwriters when we're talking about a certain demographic. When I do name recognition of area, it's not having an out-of-state underwriter that thinks that they know Wayne County or thinks they know Washington Township or thinks they know waterfront. The difference between Ann Arbor and Grosse Pointe is identified. People are people in the Midwest, and there's not favoritism, but really having a heart for people and knowing, being a lifelong community bank here in the state of Michigan, I take some pride with that. And I would say most of all, the products. We're not, your loan should do aerobics for you. It is.
I like that.
It
I've
is
never
not-
heard that before. Good for
A loan
you.
should do aerobics for you, and it isn't one size fits all. I mean,
Beautiful.
so, identifying the products that would be the complement for you.
All right. Is there, I always like to ask anybody, and this is something that I've learned a long time ago in business. What is your ask for the day before we conclude this podcast? Anthony, if you had an ask for today in your business world, what would that be? Or it could even be a personal ask of the day.
That's a great question. I've had an ask for the day.
How about a buyer for a beautiful home in Shelby Township? You want to talk about that project you got going on right now?
Yeah, I would ask for a buyer, I guess. We got it's a new construction home in Shelby. It's just under construction right now. It's just a perfect time for someone to come in and be able to put all their finishing touches and sorts of things on it that would make it really theirs.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the estates of Legacy Estates. Yeah, Legacy Estates. Near 25 Mile and Van Dyke, and it's 3,400 square foot colonial, and it's available right now. So
sounds nice. Yeah. Is there still time for them to pick their colors or choose anything?
Yeah. There's still time to pick finishes like floors, cabinets, paint, counters. So, we're I would say about like 40% of the way through construction.
And then, do you have a price point on that at this time?
In the 800s.
Nice.
That's where we're leaning. So
beautiful. Well, that sounds nice. And Maria, what is your ask of the day?
People just don't believe what they hear or see on the internet. The business of money has gotten glamorous. There's a lot of gladiators and cheerleaders, and it's just not so. If you look at the internet and you say, oh, here's this interest rate. If you look in the fine print, it's 25% down or 20% down, or, do your homework, and once you find the right person, let them work for you and do what they do best.
Beautiful. Oh, well, thank you both for being my first guests. I really appreciate it. I would say, so in conclusion, Independent Bank has a wonderful purchase renovation loan. Anthony brings some awesome builder background, skill set that is unheard of as far as on the job training. I met Anthony on a skid steer the first time moving dirt. So I can attest he does it all. Dresses up, dresses down, gets the job done. Is there anything I'm missing here that anybody can think of before we sign off?
I don't think so. You've done a great job, Michelle.
Ah,
Thank
thank
you so much
you.
for
Thank you
having
for
us.
being here with me. All right. Take
Thank
care.
you
And
for making
remember,
this happen.
this is the Mitt TV, and we're signing off of the Mitt TV First Real Estate Edition Home Factor. Thank you for being with me today.